May I have your attention, please? All the class representatives are requested to please come forward near this pillar. They have their seating arrangement over here to allow for the better interaction with chief guest and the guest of honor. Can we have the CRs, please?
Hello, hello, check, 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 hello.
Hello, hello. Hello. Uh, Good morning, everyone. We are expecting our chief guest any moment soon. Attention, please. We have our chief guest. She has already arrived in the campus, and I request you all to please put your mobile phones on silent for the smooth functioning of this event. Developing to develop is the journey of a nation. From I to me and my to our is the key to Mission 2047. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed members of the Jaipuria Institute of Management community, a very good morning to you all. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that we welcome you to the 11th edition of Jaipuria Annual Management Conference, JAMC 2024, a platform that promises to be a fountain of knowledge and innovation. The theme of this year's conference, Prospects, Puzzles, and Perspectives, Road to India at 2047, encapsulates the essence of our aspirations and the challenges we face in this transformative journey of India. Prospects illuminate the path to success, highlighting India's inherent strengths and opportunities for growth. Puzzles challenge us to unravel the complexities of India's journey, fostering intellectual discourse and innovative solutions. Finally, perspectives invite us to broaden our horizons, engaging in dynamic exchanges that inspire the change and inclusivity. Jaipuria Institute of Management extends a heartfelt welcome to all the industry leaders, policymakers, and visionaries on and off the days, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your presence and unwavering commitment to shaping the future of our nation. To commence this prestigious event, let us extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Ms. Urvashi Prasad, whose accomplishments and leadership as a director in the office of Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog have been a beacon of inspiration. She completed a BSc in Life Sciences Genetics from University of Birmingham, UK, followed by an MPhil in Bioscience Enterprises from University of Cambridge and an MSc in Public Health from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She was recognized as one of the 75 Indian achievers at the UK Parliament on the occasion of 75 years of India's independence. She has also been recognized as one of the 25 most influential women in healthcare and 100 most influential women in India in 2023. We are honored by your presence, ma'am. We are also privileged to have with us our guest of honor, Mr. Sachit Jain, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Vardhaman Special Steels Limited, which is a part of Vardhaman Group, having a turnover of around $1.5 billion. Mr. Sachit is also actively involved in CII since 25 years and has also been the past chairman of the Northern region. He did his BTech in electricals from IIT New Delhi and earned his MBA as a gold medalist from IIM Ahmedabad. He studied his financial management from Stanford, USA. He has also done an OPM program from Harvard Business School, US. Thank you for gracing us with your esteemed presence, sir. We also extend a heartfelt welcome to Mr. Shreevats Jaipuria, Vice Chairman, the Board of Governors, Jaipuria Institute of Management, and our Director, Sir, Dr. Subhajyoti Ray. As we begin this event, may I request our chief guest of honor, Vice Chairman, Sir, Director, Sir, and the organizing committee members to join us in the traditional lamp lighting ceremony and Saraswati Vandana as a symbol of illuminating the path of knowledge and wisdom.
Pramruta Ya Veera Gandhamandita Kara Ya Shweta Padmasana Ya Brahma Samanta Saraswati Bhagavati Nishesh Jaya
May I request our chief guest, guest of honor, vice chairman, and director, sir, to please take their seats on the stage. Now, without further ado, let us delve into the heart of today's proceeding. It is my distinct honor to invite our Vice Chairman, Mr. Shreevats Jaipuria, to deliver the welcome address and set the tone for the insightful discussions that lie ahead.
A very good morning. It has been almost exactly 18 months since India celebrated 75 years of independence. The last decade has propelled India to become the fastest growing large economy in the world, and all eyes are on us to drive global growth and innovation. It is apt that today at Jaipuria, we take up the topic of prospects, puzzles, and perspectives on India's road, on the road to India at 2047. I extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Ms. Urvashi Prasad, our guest of honor, Mr. Sachit Jain. It's his second appearance at our campus. He was previously, a few years ago, the chief guest for one of our convocation ceremonies. And he was talking to me fondly about he wants to be here in a more interactive setting rather than a formal convocation. So I'm very thankful that he should get this opportunity. He took this opportunity to be with us today. Eminent panelists, faculty members, students, director of the campus. At Jaipuria, in the pursuit of our mission to provide world-class contemporary education to our students that prepares them for the future, we remain duty-bound to engage with industry leaders and policy makers on current and future issues. I'm so happy today that both industry and policy is represented in the inaugural panel here. The Jaipuria Annual Management Conference, known as JAMC, is our annual flagship event here at Noida campus that serves this purpose. And I'm very excited that we are going to be discussing the path to India at 2047. The government of India has an ambitious vision to transform India into a developed economy by 2047. This has ignited a fervor of excitement and anticipation globally. Today, India is witnessing a resurgence on multiple fronts that augurs well for our collective ambition to become a developed economy by 2047. A growing India will not only provide a consumer market to the world as previously envisioned, it is also increasingly likely to serve as the world's factory. India is well poised to take advantage as Western economies de-risk their supply chains from their over-reliance on China. India, along with a few other countries such as Vietnam and Indonesia, are uniquely positioned to provide the scale and expertise to manufacture not only for India, but for the world. India has shown that it can be a hub for innovation and new technologies, especially those that address issues arising in the global south or that entail innovating at an affordable cost and at a large scale. Whether it is India's moon mission, its COVID vaccine development and manufacturing, the COVID platform that was adopted by many other countries, UPI, Aadhaar, India has shown time again and again that it can innovate at scale and go places that others have not been, often leapfrogging generations of old technologies that the West is stuck on. As I look at India today and compare it to the years of growing up in school and college through the 1990s and 2000s, I see a significant shift. Back then, as a young adult, the Western world was the place to be. It provided better products and services to its customers and its citizens. Now, though, there are multiple segments where India is providing better infrastructure and services to its citizens, even as compared to the developed world. I think there are many aha moments now that I travel to Europe or America and say this actually happens better in India than what it does here. Be it India's metropolitan airports and hopefully in times to come, tier 2 airports as well, most national highways and expressways, its digital payments infrastructure. I think you can roam around anywhere in India without a wallet now, confident that your phone UPI will get you around. Robust delivery of household services. India is the place to be as a consumer, as an innovator, and as an entrepreneur. Though exciting, the road to 2047 will have its share of challenges and uncertainties. Climate change and environment degradation are likely to be the biggest challenges of the 21st century. Here in India, with our population density and reliance on agriculture as a predominant occupation, we face a high degree of risk from climate change. Here as well, India has shown that it has potential to lead change in spite of the limitations of being a developing country. India jointly founded the International Solar Alliance along with France and has set ambitious targets on renewable energy. India also faces challenges due to high level of pollutions in its metropolitan cities, an issue that we know very well here living in Delhi NCR, especially in the northern Gangetic Plain, that pose significant health risks to its population. I hope sincerely that India of 2047 will be a provider of global solutions to climate change through renewable energy and technology. The mainstreaming of artificial intelligence through large language models and smart devices also provides significant opportunities and challenges. India is well poised to take advantage of artificial intelligence as it has already a robust, globally competitive IT industry with the likes of TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, and Wipro being world leaders in this field. However, India has to make sure that AI is leveraged to generate jobs for India's still young labor force and population, and is able to increase participation in the labor force, especially of women, through the innovations in AI. To be able to reach the promised land, it is important to identify, leverage inherent strengths within the Indian economy, its strategic alliances, and to explore sectors for sustained growth. It is also equally important to have contingency planning and analyze the uncertainties that may arise by 2047 and develop plans to maintain resilience in spite of these uncertainties. The pivotal role of technology in achieving these aspirations of a developed economy cannot be overemphasized. The need of the hour is to have innovative solutions and strategies to harness technology for sustainable progress. The role of skill development, workforce adaptability, and education to maximize the demographic dividend is of prime importance. India's growth will be underpinned with a dynamic policy framework, young and energetic population, and a continuously forward-looking government policy framework. The conference seeks to unravel these and many more issues on India's path to 2047. To all present here, especially to our young students, I'd like to say the future is far more promising than what we can even dream of today. It has to be approached with the right mindset, skills, and knowledge. And I'm sure that this conference will play its part in bringing fresh ideas about India's path to 2047. I once again welcome each one of you, especially our guests on the dais and off it, to the 11th edition of Jaipuria Annual Management Conference here at Noida. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for those inspiring words. We are truly honored. Now, it is my pleasure to invite our chief guest, Ms. Urvashi Prasad, for her address.
Thank you for inviting me here and also for the very generous introduction. Um, this topic of Viksit Bharat, it's obviously something which is hugely complex when we look at it. It's because when we look at India, I always think of it not as a country but so many different countries in one. So when we say Viksit Bharat, it has to be the journey of not just one country, but also each of the individual states, because ultimately we are a federal structure. And so I think that really underpins this whole concept and the framework in which we look at Viksit Bharat. I think undoubtedly this is a very exciting time for India. This is definitely India's takeoff moment in many ways. We have just finished a very, very interesting G20 presidency. Yeah, sorry for that. Just not feeling too well. So yeah, I think when we look at India and the road ahead to 2047, there are a lot of different headwinds, global headwinds that we are faced with. And there are a number of different global challenges which also came to light during our G20 presidency. Right from the global economic order, which is facing many crises at this point, the conflicts that we are seeing, the global conflicts, obviously the climate change problem and the energy transition problem that goes along with that, which is disproportionately affecting countries of the global south, and the developed world is actually responsible for a lot of the climate change problem that we are facing, but the brunt of that is now being borne by the countries of the global south, where we're saying you also have to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change, but you also have to go through this energy transition. You also have to ramp up your use of renewable sources of energy and cut down on non-renewable sources, on fossil fuels, which if you see is a huge challenge in itself, because where we on the one hand we want to push development, and on the other hand, we want to also do it in a sustainable manner. So I think that is again a major global, challenge and context that faces us as we try to, move ahead in this path to 2047. Also, I think there are a lot of challenges of inequality, inequalities, within and between nations. And the pandemic has, of course, not helped matters in this regard. Inequality has been worsened, in many parts of the world. And that is a challenge that we also are grappling with here in India, because obviously we're a very diverse country. And there's different kinds of inequalities, right? There's geographical, there's, gender related inequalities, and various other kinds, different social groups, etc. So I think these are some of the global headwinds, and it's important to put India's path to 2047 in the context of these. But there's also certain tailwinds, or if we act smartly, then these could become tailwinds for us. Technology is obviously one of them, right? The use of artificial intelligence, you have big data, you have Internet of Things, but we have to make sure that these are not just, fancy words, but actually meaningfully integrated, into our different policies, programs. Of course, we have a lot of startups and we have a lot of innovation going on in the private sector. And that is where we need to bring the public and the private sectors together to be able to make the most of this tailwind potentially of technology and disruptive technology. Urbanization, is again something which represents both challenges and opportunities. Balanced growth is something that we have to really, really focus on. So I think there's a mix of headwinds and tailwinds as we're going forward to 2047. We are, of course, well positioned, as was mentioned, from an economy standpoint, from various other standpoints. Digitization, we've really taken several leaps in the last few years. And also, in fact, even on the energy front, where we've made tremendous progress in terms of pushing the whole renewable energy agenda. But I think just a few areas where I feel we need to focus, as we look ahead to 2047. I think one is obviously we need to localize the Sustainable Development Goals agenda, and that's what we're trying to do through the Niti Aayog. Our mandate, as some of you or many of you might be aware, is to pursue cooperative and competitive federalism, which means that we have to encourage states to both share best practices with each other as well as to encourage competition among states. And we do this through ranking states. We have various indices. We have various means by which we try and spur competition, because somewhere we are a firm believer that competition, it might not be the most perfect way. Even when you look at indices from an academic point of view, they might not always be the most rigorous from an academic standpoint, but they help to get the conversation going on many critical sectors, and that's what we really need in a country like ours. So that's something we do, and we are really trying to take the SDGs to the local level, to the state level, to the sub-state level, district level, even below that. What do the SDGs really mean at every district in India? How do we actually implement? How do we actually plan, for their implementation? How do we allocate resources? So that is, I think, one big area of focus for us. The other, of course, is the energy transition plans for every state. Like I said, if you look at a state like Jharkhand, it's heavily dependent, on fossil fuels. Its economy is heavily dependent on fossil fuels. And if you're telling Jharkhand, well, on the one hand, you need to develop, and on the other hand, you need to move away from fossil fuels, it's a huge dichotomy and a huge challenge. So we need to help each state at an individual level develop its energy transition plans. There's no one size fits all for India. And I think that is something that we realize, obviously, at Niti Aayog. And lastly, I would just say that we're really trying to push the whole agenda of women-led development. We also saw this in our G20 presidency. And we're doing this through the work we're doing with states, that, it's not just about women's empowerment, but it's really an agenda of women-led development. And that means that, women are a very active part of the economy, of the innovation ecosystem, in every which way. So I think that is, again, something very significant for us. And Niti Aayog, we are running a broad umbrella initiative called the State Support Mission. And it is through this mission that we're actually engaging with different states. We're helping each state develop its roadmap to 2047. Because, like I said at the beginning, that is how we see we're going to achieve this. Every state has to have its vision for 2047. And eventually, hopefully, that will all add up to a Viksit Bharat at 2047. So thank you very much once again for having me here. And sorry about that little interruption.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words. They were truly enlightening. We are also privileged to have the wisdom and guidance of our guest of honor, Mr. Sachit Jain. I request sir to grace us with his address. Also, sir, I feel immense pleasure to share that I am a graduate from Sri Aurobindo College of Commerce and Management, Ludhiana.
Thank you. Urvashi ji, the chief guest, Shreevats, Vice Chairman, Dr. Ray, all dignitaries, and my dear students. I think Urvashi ji did the macro, the current situation, the challenges, and the problems today. And we had some kind of telepathy because I am not addressing any of those issues. I'm talking about the way our current government has moved and the way Prime Minister Modi's vision is moving ahead. I'm assuming we will have reached there. So I'm taking you forward to 2047 when we have become a developed country, which is the vision of our Prime Minister. And that's the job of a leader, to show a vision. And in the last 10 years, we've shown. So infrastructure would have developed, we would have income, per capita income would have gone up. All those parameters of development would have happened. I'm just taking that as a given and saying now, and many of you are going to be in leadership positions then. I may not be alive at that point in time, but many of you would be in leadership positions. So this is for you. So Amrit Kal at 2047, that's a road, but I'm now taking it that we have reached 2047. What do I see the biggest leadership challenges? I think the biggest leadership challenge is going to be how to be happy. If I look at the developed countries today, the US being the foremost amongst them, or Japan or Norway, you see angst everywhere. You see anger, you see frustration, you see shootings and all that in the US. You see suicide in some countries, depression in some countries, and so on. So basically, you may be developed externally, you may be a rich country, but if you are unhappy, what's the point? That's the biggest challenge of leadership, how to create a happy environment. And for that, it's important to have health. Again, you've chosen a wonderful chief guest who comes from the health space and one of the most influential women in the area of health, apart from being one of the most influential women, but health particularly. Health is so important. We just take health for granted. Everyone says health is wealth, but health is wealth for who? For the doctors, for the pharma companies, and for the hospitals. But I would like the India of 2047, because India is sitting on a disaster of hypertension, of diabetes, of obesity, and all that. Rich countries do that. In a poor country, we're already having that. So that's one big area. Mental health. Already, thanks to COVID, we had major situations of anxiety coming up and depression and so on. So a lot of our youth have faced that. And I believe anxiety is a big thing, and FOMO is a big term, and social media becomes a big issue, which drives a lot of insecurities in people. So those are the things. So robust mental health is required. A feeling of belongingness. Families are becoming nuclear families, as people are spreading. So area of belongingness is important. Feeling of equality, that everyone has a chance. I mean, Urvashi talked about development for everybody, all states developing and so on. So exactly, that's what a feeling of equality, that everyone has the progress. Women have equal progress. In fact, in our group, the leaders all going well, next 40 years are all women. My wife is the next leader of the group, and I've got two daughters. They are the next leaders of the group. So Vardhaman group is a women-dominated group. And I've got 3 women around me. So please understand, I'm a very well-trained male. Sense of purpose. What is life without a sense of? Is life just about enjoyment? I'm all for enjoyment. But is there a purpose in your life? So that's the end of 2047. I see people having a sense of purpose. So what society has to provide? For this, society, governments have to do something, and individuals have to do something. First of all, good environment. Again, our chief guest talked about that. Climate change, so you need good air to breathe. Good water. When we were children, we could just open the tap and drink water anytime. Today, everybody carries mineral water with them. So from the station, we could drink water at the railway station. We can't do that anymore. Toxin-free food to eat, because our food has pesticides and so on. So organic food, better quality agriculture and so on. That's what a developed country is about, and you have good food to eat. good opportunity to progress for everybody. Education and skills, because we don't know what the world is going to be like tomorrow. Like suddenly AI comes and disrupts so many jobs. So the world of tomorrow is not going to be what was yesterday fast forwarded. Like in our time, it was simple. You either became an engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant. Those were the three things, or you joined government. So those were the four areas you could think of. Today, there's so many more opportunities. And with AI, the world will get disrupted. And health infrastructure. You have to have good health infrastructure, both primary, secondary, preventive, as well as tertiary, of course. But society doesn't have to do everything. Individuals have to do lots. So what do individuals have to do? Build resilience. The first possible set of crisis, and we crumble. Now, when we were young, playing sports all the day, every day, 4 to 7, 4 o'clock sharp, we were out. And 7 o'clock, the servant had to come to locate where we were and bring us back home. And 7:30 dinner was laid, and dinner was whatever laid on the table. If you didn't like what was there on the table, don't eat, but you get nothing else. So everyone learned very fast discipline and how to handle stuff you don't like, sharing with brothers, sisters, cousins, and so on. So all that was important part. So resilience, a sense of gratitude. When we go to temples, we are all beggars. Bhagwan ye de de, Bhagwan promotion de de, Bhagwan ye admission de de, Bhagwan shadi kara de, boyfriend dila de, girlfriend dila de. You know, one is always talking about what do I get? Give me. When do we go to thank? A sense of gratitude. That's what I want to see in the 2047 year, 2040. A sense of gratitude everywhere. I'm in good health. I'm alive. I'm breathing air. I've got friends. I'm in a good educational institute and so on. Sense of freedom becomes a very important part. You feel free. You're not bound by what somebody else says. Kuch to log kahenge, logon ka kaam hai kehna. But we get bound by all that. So a lot of freedom that we have in our own minds, we have to get out of that. And a feeling of contentment. Ambition drives us crazy. I've gone through that. The whole separate story about when I was really ambitious, got to the gold medal race at IIM Ahmedabad and burnt myself. I learned very early to get off the rat race, because if you're a rat race and you win, you're still a rat. It's a contentment. And the foundation of all the above is spiritual orientation and progress. And this is an area which our Prime Minister is talking about again, the Indian culture, not religion. I'm not about religion, please. But I'm talking about culture, what is part of our heritage, and a spiritual orientation. Do you meditate? Do you go inwards? And that is something India has tremendous strength. And this is an area where India has for itself, for our own people, and to give to the world. The educated people are the ones who are moving away from our roots because it's not nice, it's not cool, it's not hip. I got exposed to spirituality, luckily by chance, at the age of 27. So I got exposed early. I also got exposed early because I got burned in the rat race. So I got exposed to spirituality. And then, of course, I ended up reading the Bhagavad Gita and so on. So please read it not as a religious text. Read the Bhagavad Gita as a book of life, as a book of management. It talks about being a good manager, good leader. All that is given in our texts and we just ignore it. And the West is, of course, learning from our things. So those are the things I want to give. The India of 2047, Amrit Kal. I'm a very optimistic person. I've seen, as Shreevats talked about, the changes we've seen over the years. I've seen the time where you had to wait for a trunk call. You have to book a lightning call. So I've seen that. I've seen when you would call when I got engaged to my fiance, I was in Bihar in Hindustan Lever. I was working in Hindustan Lever. And she would call at various times. And I would say, please call after 10 o'clock, 1/4 the rate. And if I had to call her back, I had to go to a post office, stand in queue, get a phone call and talk for 3 minutes or 6 minutes. Those are the times. And from that, today, you can talk to anybody in the world and video calls all over. So our generation has seen the technology change. But if you stay rooted and remember, ultimately development is about happiness, and happiness comes from within. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking words. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached an exciting phase of our program. As we believe in an inclusive dialogue, the stage is now open for questions and answers from our esteemed audience. Please feel free to share your queries, thoughts, and perspectives. Mics will be available, and we encourage you to actively participate.
You can come up and say your question.
Hello. Am I audible now?
Talk about the challenge of equity in a country. So in your assessment, how can we deal with the growing income inequality?
So my question.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So my question is to Ms. Urvashi. As you rightly pointed out that we have a challenge of equity in a country. So in your assessment, how can we deal with the growing income inequality?
Yeah, I mean, income inequality, again, it has many different dimensions. And like I said, there's rural, urban, there's, people who are in agriculture, there's people moving out of agriculture and coming to urban areas, but not necessarily getting, the kind of jobs that they might be aspiring for. So I think there's many dimensions of it. There's no one single bullet solution to it. There's many different, ways in which it needs to be addressed. Of course, the government itself is pushing in different ways on the job creation front. But we're also trying to promote entrepreneurship in a big way, because a lot of jobs can also be created through that, and I think India has huge potential for that, which we are not, probably fully tapped into yet. In fact, quite a long way from that. But I think we need to especially focus on our large informal sector, and particularly when it comes to women. Majority of the women are employed in the informal sector, where we don't have the kind of, social security and other benefits going to them. So I think that is where a lot of the focus has to be. There are, of course, social safety nets as well that the government works on, and there are large programs, but that is, something which happens in parallel, and it's more of a supportive intervention. And on the other hand, of course, we do continue to push on, jobs, entrepreneurship. So yeah, it's not an easy answer, and there's no one solution. But I think it needs different kinds of efforts, and particularly we need to push on entrepreneurship, because I think for India that can really be the way forward, because we do have lots of very talented people, even in our small towns, smallest of towns of India, we find that. But they might not have the kind of enabling ecosystem, that allows them to build those businesses. So I think our MSMEs, particularly startups, need a lot of support. So I think all these areas, we have to work on to address this issue.
question for Mr. Sajid Ray. So may I ask? Yeah. So what do you feel? What do you think? Which sectors would lead the growth to 2047?
Initially, it will clearly be manufacturing, infrastructure, and India, the country where in any area you get in, there's enough opportunity. And I think really India's time has come now. Somebody, an expert once said, India has never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. But really now the way geopolitically we are situated, as well as our demographics and the way the government is getting its act together. So I think whichever industry you touch, manufacturing has to grow because you have to absorb the teeming millions in agriculture. So, and I believe one area the government is missing, and Urvashi ji, please, if I may say that, apparel exports, apparel manufacturing and exports, light manufacturing, which will absorb millions of people. Government is still not getting its act together on how we can build up this industry. Like that, there'll be a couple of other industries. But I think at this point in time, just focus on building skills, building resilience, and any opportunity, every area there's growth.
Good morning to all the respected panelists. So my question is again to Mr. Sajid sir. So sir, I would like to know like how we students can prepare ourselves for 2047.
Build the right skills of leadership. Leadership in area and behavior, resilience, all the things that I talked about. That unless you build your resilience, because you will have crisis. How will you handle crisis as you get along? How will you keep yourself motivated? Move internally that you have strengths from inside rather than looking for external sources. We are too much focused on how many followers we have, how many likes we get, and how many people are watching our page and so on. We get influenced by artificial things from outside. As youth of today, enjoy the social media for what it is. I'm not saying stay away from social media, but don't get influenced it because you know how many times you look at a photograph of yourself before you post it. You want it to look way better than what you actually are. So also others. But we see somebody else and say, oh my God, he's having a beautiful time. He's having a wonderful time. He's having this or she's having that. And we see the good in somebody else's life and the bad in our lives. So that is a very important part. Internal resilience is most important. Your ability to deal with people senior to you, people junior to you. How do you motivate people? So people skills, communication skills. Other technical skills today, what you learn, you'll get outdated. I learned electrical engineering. I don't use any of it today. But it's my people skills and behavior and conceptual skills, thinking, strategy. That's what I use today. And in IIT, what I learned is how to solve problems, analytical skills. So those are what I use today. So work on yourself, become a better human being and make friends. Networks today. So I'll just give you the idea. When we were in class, we didn't know who will become super successful and so on. But today, some of the best known entrepreneurs in the country are batchmates of mine and friends of mine from childhood. So the Renew Power, the largest renewable power company in the country, the chairman is my roommate in IIT. Sanjeev Dikchandani, chairman, vice chairman of InfoEdge, Naukri.com. First year, we did our projects together. Rashesh Shah, chairman of Edelweiss. My first project in IIM was with him. Nirmal Jain, chairman of India Infoline. He and I were roommates in Hindustan Lever together. We were all friends at that time. Who knew who would reach where? So make good friends and enjoy life. First thing is also enjoy life.
Good morning, sir. I have a question for you. How we will finance this growth? And what do you think, according to you, what new role private sectors will play in this?
A friend of mine once told me, again, another batchmate and Bearings private equity managing partner. He once told me to take over a global leader in our sewing thread business. I said, where's the money? His words. Okay, so I'm quoting somebody, it's not my words. He said, money is a commodity. It will chase the best idea. So I don't think raising money or where the money will come from should be a concern. India is in a hot spot. India is where action is. Money is going to keep coming. As long as we keep improving our legal system, all the policy things, which is actually Urvishi's domain, not mine. But if we improve those areas and law and order, and I mean, look at terrorist attacks have stopped. You know, safety, security. So that's the government's job. As the government provides that, I think India, there's tremendous opportunity. Infrastructure is coming in. Digital infrastructure, Shreevats talked about. So Indian entrepreneurs have tremendous ability. They have been chained for too long. They're getting unleashed. So private sector is going to be playing the dominant role in the future in partnership with government, in partnership with education, in partnership with health. So everything can't be private. It has to be private, public partnership. But you put me in an area beyond my competence. That was question. Unfortunately, Urvashi ji was not well, so she had to leave. But questions meant for her are coming to me.
Good morning, sir. Yesterday, I have a privilege to visit the World Book Affair in Pragati Maidan. And when I go there, I really enjoy. And I posted some pics from HarperCollins and Rupa Publication stall. When I posted, within few minutes, I started to get prompts of Google prompts of advertise of this book store. And 2 days ago, Sora was launched by OpenAI. So how you feel that this data privacy and all the stuff is going to affect in 2047? Are we programming something like our consumer behavior is programmed in such a way that the companies are utilizing us as an asset?
Okay, again, this is beyond the realm of my competence, but I'll say from my common sense. Stay away from social media. Why the hell do you spend so much time on social media? Why the hell do you spend so... I don't buy anything. So my first time I bought something online was just last week when I was in Singapore, and and my brother was saying, he said, Bhaiya, how will you move around in Singapore? I said, I'll take a taxi somewhere. He said, where will you get a taxi? So that's when I put Grab, the local taxi app, on my phone. And then I put my credit card on the phone. So I'm scared. I'm the old generation, okay? I'm the old fogey. But the point is, stay away from... It's the job of that business to track who you are, what you're doing. My presumption is they're not tracking what you are doing. It is those big AI machines and algorithms which are developing. Whoever is developing, get there. They don't know what you are thinking. That phone said this and so on, it's directing you there. That's what they have to make money. Stay away from social media. Use it. Don't let it use you. Okay? Again, but this is an area which is not my expertise. So this is a policymaker's job to answer, not mine. If you ask me something which I talked about, I'll be happy to answer. Happier to answer. I'll still try to answer the other question.
Good morning, sir. My question is for Shreevats, sir. Sir, as we are saying road to India 2047. Sir, if there was no pandemic or COVID, could we achieve that in 2037, or it still would be 2047?
So I think, the goalpost is something to motivate us. There are going to be many milestones along the journey to 2047. Becoming a developed country is not going to happen overnight, when we wake up on 15th August 1947. The pandemic certainly put us behind in a couple of years, but it also led to innovation in a way, and it also led to the changing of geopolitical situations, which actually benefited India. So in terms of innovation on technology, on remote work, the pandemic led to a lot of innovation that is going to help not only India, but the rest of the world as well. And secondly, geopolitically, once China closed down, reopened, people saw certain risks coming out of China, their over-reliance of supply chains on China, where the pandemic started, also is leading to India being a much more hot commodity in foreign circles, in terms of investment, in terms of manufacturing. So I think certainly the pandemic pushed India and the world behind by a couple of years, but it also led to the first couple of steps of India being this sort of place to be for everyone around the world. The world realizing that it is over invested in China, over reliant on China once China closed down due to the pandemic. So I think in terms of India's growth path towards 2047, there were both negatives and positives that came out of the pandemic.
Good morning, sir. So my question is for director, sir. Sir, according to you, in 2047, how will education move?
That's an interesting question. We can paint 100,000 scenarios, but the way I think it's likely to be, we are going into a world which will be, micro degrees, extremely small, very specific skill oriented programs. That would be for the masses, for the researchers who are doing fundamental work. They'll continue to do their, the regular, much more structured, elaborated programs. But people who would be looking for a job or address a certain gap in the labor market, they would pick up these micro degrees, very specific skills. Of course, you'll have to learn how to collaborate with AI. So there'll be two kinds of employees who know how to collaborate with AI and those who don't know how to collaborate. And the second kind of employees will vanish. So that's the other thing that's going to happen. And I think you should be very, very aware and be conscious of this. But there is no substitute to what everything Mr. Jain has said, which is essentially discipline, sacrificing needless use of social media, preparing yourself because, today we were wondering even today morning and even yesterday evening that whether the road to the Noida campus, will it be smooth or will it be uncertainty is there because of the local unrest, as you all know. Now imagine when you're talking about road to 2047, that's 23 years away, right? So what all can happen? No one can guess. But some of the fundamentals don't change. You have to stick to those fundamentals. So for starting with, be punctual to their students, right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I think one of the things that I see is changing in education, and maybe it will be a little bit opposed to what Dr. Ray said. I think the ability to make connections between different disciplines is going to be increasingly more important. I think the lines between being an engineer versus being an business administration guy versus being a marketing guy, finance guy, medical doctor are going to get more and more blurred, as specialized knowledge is going to become easier to acquire later on in life. So people who are able to solve problems, people who are able to make connections between diverse fields are going to be the ones that are going, and people who can change careers often, because the industry that you go into may look completely different, may become completely different 5 years from now. So I think the ability to cross-disciplinary learning, and I think the national education policy also talks about it. It's what we try to do here at other business schools where you break across disciplines. Just generally being able to solve problems and not thinking yourself as a person from one discipline or the other. As Mr. Jain also said, he was an electrical engineer and now is managing a steel company, worked in textile as well as before, worked in Hindustan Lever. So I think the ability to reinvent yourself to solve problems that cut across traditional disciplines is what is going to hold currency in the market.
Sir, good morning. I have a question from Sajid, sir. As you mentioned about rat race, we see rat race in almost in every sector. So how to stay calm in this constant competition?
So competition is part and parcel of life. So you can't, when I say get away from the rat race, that doesn't mean that you become afraid of competition. You're competing for resources, you're competing to get ahead, you're moving ahead. But the most important part would be focus on what you need to do, set a target and focus on your duty and action and need to do, rather than constantly checking on where somebody else has gone and if you see somebody else has gone, get inspired by that. And then you have to spend some time with yourself in meditation. So if any idle time you have, please spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes on meditation. that meditation will give you resilience. And the resilience will give you the ability to think clearly. And then your ability to handle somebody's got a bigger car than you, so what? Good for them. So I'm okay. I have in my life, I need to hear this. I have taken a lift on a cycle, on a scooter, on a motorcycle, in a truck, in a car, even in a private jet. I've taken a lift. Somebody was going, I said, can you take me, please? So I've taken a lift on a private jet also. So the point is, but I'm equally okay wherever I am as long as I get to where I have to be. But moment you say, I have to show somebody, somebody has gone ahead, you take your attention on somebody else. What he is doing, what she is doing, and therefore I have to do this. Or somebody has done something, I am inspired by that. Maybe I pick up one or two good qualities from that. Can I learn from that? Just a slight difference. And that will enable you to handle the challenges and the resilience that if you fail, so what? I'll end with one share, the only share I know, which my grandfather used to tell me, गिरते हैं शह सवार ही मैदान जंग में, वो तिफ्ल क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चले. So if you are a fighter, you will fall. Somebody is crawling, a kid who's crawling will not fall. No? So don't be afraid of life, enjoy life and move ahead. But we have to focus on hard work, discipline and our duty, but also enjoy ourselves fully.
Thank you so much, everyone. So before we conclude this remarkable inaugural event, I invite our Vice Chairman, Mr. Shreevats Jaipuria, to facilitate our esteemed guests with tokens of appreciation. I request him to present the token to our guest of honor, Mr. Sachit Jain. Thank you, sir.
Oh, very well.
I now request our Director, Sir, Dr. Subhajyoti Ray, to deliver the vote of thanks, expressing our heartfelt gratitude to all those who have contributed to the success of JAMC 2024.
I'll keep it brief. So good afternoon to one and all present. It's a great privilege for me on behalf of Jaipuria Institute of Management, Noida, to propose the vote of thanks. It's been an extremely interesting inaugural session. Thanks to great opening remarks by our Vice Chairman. I mean, I have to say this like loud and clear that on multiple occasions I have asked support for many things and especially for JAMC, and it's been always been unconditional and unwavering. So thank you, Shivasji, for your wonderful support always, and we deeply appreciate your. And he has a very long flight to catch in a few hours and he's still been here. So thank you again for that. My special thanks to Mr. Sachit Jain. I think all the human qualities that you presented in your presentation, I think you have most of them. And most importantly, he's an extremely empathetic listener. When I've had 3 calls with him, one was a fairly long, and he's been listening. And I thought that that's an outstanding quality of a leader, and I'm deeply touched. And I think he's touched on some of the very, very important things that young students should take care of, and that's about discipline and duty. And I'm from Kolkata, and I know on Howrah Beach, there's a sentence engraved: discipline makes the nation great. We don't follow it, but we know the right things to say, but we don't follow it. So this is the time that you have to do it. And since we spoke on duty, I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk a little bit about duty in not more than 30 seconds. I don't have the original source, so it is somewhat accurate interpretation of what Swami Vivekananda had said about duty. So if you have to perform at a level of 50, that's suppose the duty as a student, an assignment has been given to you, or some work has been assigned, or you have to be at a time, and say let's put a score of 50 for that. That's your expected performance in that, and you somehow get by doing 42 cleverly and escape. Your mentality is that of a slave. So the work or your duty is an owner of you. So it owns you and you become a slave. If you are someone who is willing to perform between 48 and 52, you're more or less there. You will get some amount of satisfaction, maybe a little bit of pride. But if you start performing beyond expectation, you go to 60 and beyond, and your goal was to just get to 50, you will experience freedom. And that's what young people should strive for. Then you own the job. It doesn't matter what the duty is, whether to sit in a meeting or sit at a conference or do an assignment or go do a sales call. It doesn't matter what that duty is. And that's what I think you should all remember. Try to go beyond what is expected. You will enjoy freedom. That is when you control the job and not the other way around. So thank you, Mr. Jain, for bringing Bhagavad Gita and so many other things in a extremely complex topic in 7 slides. So wonderful. Thank you very much. Last but not least, I can see all the faculty colleagues here for your support and guiding the students, ushering them here at different points of time. So they're all seated. Thank you, all of you. Thank you to the organizing committee, Professor Arpan Anand, Professor Santosh Sood, Professor Atul Shiva, Varda Sardan. I always mix up these two names, sorry. Very much, I really thank them for their untiring support. We were hundreds of meetings. I like to do these meetings until everything is sorted out. So they've been, without complaining, coming to my room. So thank you very much for all of that. And last but not the least, thank you, dear students. You have showed up and you asked good questions. So very good. Thank you, everybody.
With that, we conclude the inaugural segment of today's event. Thank you for being a part of this momentous occasion. Taking this event forward, it is my pleasure to introduce you all to the next segment of this conference, which is an insightful panel discussion. Today, we have gathered some brilliant minds to delve into the topic prospects, puzzles, and perspectives, a road to India at 2047. We have a powerhouse of intellects, each hailing from diverse backgrounds, bringing with them a very rich tapestry of experiences and a spectrum of thoughts. Without further ado, let's meet our esteemed panelists who not only bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table, but also represent a beautiful mosaic of perspectives. I request all the students to be seated. The attendance is yet to be collected. I request all the students to please be seated. So I would like to request you all to put your hands together to welcome all our panelists. So starting with, we welcome Mr. Shishir Sinha, the Senior Editor, Business Line, The Hindu, as our panel moderator. Mr. Shishir has been working as a business journalist for the last 28 years. He has also worked with prestigious organizations like Amar Ujala, Aaj Tak, CNBC Awaz and ABP News, and is regularly engaged in various government publications such as Yojana and Kurukshetra. He is also a member in Board of Studies of Amity School of Communication, Patna, and is also an advisory council member of Lexicon Institute of Media and Advertising, Pune. We welcome you, sir. As our panel members, we have Mr. Raghu Radhakrishnan, the CEO and Managing Director of TMAX Soft in India. He's responsible for building people, leaders, and the organization, thereby strengthening the TMAX soft presence in the communities across India and for gaining the market share. He's responsible for assisting the Indian enterprise to adopt to TMAX soft. technologies and help them solve their perennial problem of high TCO. We welcome you, sir, and I request you to please be seated on the stage. Also, we have amongst us Mr. Shitanshu Srivastav. With over 18 years in data industry, he's currently working with S&P Global Sustainable One as Director, ESG Data Quality. His primary responsibilities include creating ESG data quality frameworks, their implementation, creating strategies for ESG data quality organization, and driving process excellence projects to improve the effectiveness and efficiency for ESG data. We welcome you, sir. We would now like to welcome Mr. Gokul Pandyan, Director in EY and a seasoned professional with over 19 plus years of experience in climate change and sustainability. His expertise includes developing strategy, policy, and advisory. He worked with many public and private clients in developing ESG and low carbon interventions, integrated resources and resilience planning, energy and GHG accounting, ESG benchmarking, and ESG reporting. He has evaluated the energy transition opportunities across various sectors and estimated abatement cost for various technologies for India, Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. It's a privilege to have you here with us, sir. And finally, we have Dr. Santosh George, a transformation specialist who has been serving the most vulnerable children across India for the last 25 years. Cure in India is one of the national voluntary organizations that he and Dr. Matthew Varghese initiated and led from its inception from 2008. The goal of this unique initiative is to see India free of disability from clubfoot. Cure International India Trust has been working for over 11 years, providing affordable and effective non-surgical interventions to permanently correct the clubfoot. Santosh George has PhD in Humanities from Madhuraj Kamaraj University in Tamil Nadu, and he continues to inspire many to spend an hour every day in the development struggle. We welcome you, sir. I would request a big round of applause for all our panelists. Our goal today is to provide you, that is our audience, with valuable insights and perspectives that will contribute to a better understanding of the topic, prospects, puzzles, and perspectives, the road to India at 2047. Now that our panelists are seated, let's formally begin our session. I have the honor of inviting our respected moderator, Mr. Shishir Sinha, to take the charge of the proceedings. With his vast experiences, he will guide us through this enlightening discussion.
Namaskar. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this discussion. And let me start with a famous quote from John Maynard Keynes. Since I have been a student of economics, so that quote has always been in my mind. In the long run, we all are dead. And every time, whenever we hear that by 2047, India has to achieve a growth, developed nation status, that's a long term. How many of us will be there to see that growth? So what I have done, I have just rephrased this quote. What I have said, what I'm doing now, in the long run, our effort should be to see all the prospects are fulfilled, all the puzzles are resolved, and all the perspectives get new element. So if we are able to do that, then certainly we will have the third stage of roster growth theory, which says 5 stages of growth. And the third stage, which Urvashi was mentioning, that age of takeoff, ready for takeoff. So I was just going through the requirement for takeoff. What kind of requirement we need for the takeoff? You know the roster growth stages. One is, of course, the preemptive society. Then
pre-stages for takeoff, and then age of high mass consumption. So we are now in a situation when we are talking about when we are talking about takeoff stage. So what are the requirements we need? The first requirement, what we have to achieve. So at this moment, we have three targets. First is $5 trillion economy by 26-27. Then the second target is $7 trillion economy by 2030. And the third target is developed nation status by 2047. And there is a midterm target, which we call as the $10 trillion economy by 23-24. Now, when we have to achieve this target, we have to think about 4D. 1D is, of course, the democracy. We all are privileged to be part of this democratic nation. The second one is, of course, the demand. Third one is the demographic dividend. And the fourth one is the diversified market. Now we have to look how we can exploit all the 4Ds, whether we talk about demand, whether we talk about demographic dividend, whether we talk about democracy, or whether we talk about the diversified market. If you are in a situation to do all those things, then the targets which we have set in the short run, in the medium run, in the long run, that will be possible. Now, what are the things which have been done? Of course, we have just seen the interim budget presentation, and we will have the full budget in the month of July. For the last 4 or 5 budgets, we have seen number of initiatives, but the most important initiative, which in my understanding is a higher allocation for capital expenditure. Because capital generates capital. Somebody was asking a question that whether the private investment will come or not. We all know that capital investment has a multiplier effect. If we invest 1 rupee as a capital expenditure, that has an impact of 3 rupees. So we need that kind of multiplier effect. So capex allocation, higher capex allocation is very important. Then another important thing is the fiscal consolidation. We are talking about fiscal deficit of 5.1% during the fiscal year 25-26 and 4.5% by 25-26. I'm sorry, 24-25, 5.1 and 25-26, 4.5%. Now you may ask that why we need fiscal consolidation. What is the requirement for fiscal consolidation? I think when you think about the sovereign rating, whenever a sovereign rating agency look for a upgrade or change in the outlook, there they look on the fiscal consolidation. So fiscal consolidation is required for a rating upgrade. We all know we are almost at the last stage, which is BBB-, that's a last investment grade rating. And every time when there is a rating review, we always feel that there should be a rating upgrade. What are the things which we need for rating upgrade and why we need rating upgrade? Everybody was talking about that India has a huge prospect. India has a huge potential. But what we need capital. And domestic capital alone cannot meet all the requirements. So we need foreign capital. And for that, we need a better rating. Of course, BBB- is the last investment grade rating. We have the outlook of a stable, and somebody has given the outlook, if I remember correctly, stable outlook, as well as the positive outlook. So we have a possibility, we have the potential. But at the same time, we have to think about PPP. What are the PPP? Since 2 people are from the ESG background, so they know much better about PPP, I will just give you a definition of PPP. 1 P is the people, the second P is the profit, and the third P is the planet. Now the third P is very critical. Just see, we all are sitting here. This is the month of February, and we are not in a position to face the sun. Can we think about the planet at this moment? Is this the time to think about how to make a balance between growth and the environment? How to make a balance between people and the planet? How to make a balance between people, planet, and the profit? If you are able to do that, our growth journey will be much, much better. Otherwise, we may be having 7% growth, but the puzzle will still be there, whether this is the inclusive growth, whether more and more people are getting benefit out of that. So talk all about these things. We have the 4 people who can talk about all those things. I'm just a moderator. So my job will be just to incite them, come here and talk about the issues which they want to and which is very close to their heart. First of all, I would like to invite Mr. Gokul Pandian. and I will request him to talk about how India can lay a green path for economic growth and what are the initiatives taken so far and what are the measures required for the future. Mr. Pandey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Moderator, distinguished panelists, and dear students. I'm very privileged and honored to be here, and it's good to see that I have also come again to the college. It's taking me to the nostalgic time. 20 years ago, I was there in the college, and of course, you guys are having fun. So we'll also have we used to have fun. I hope that continues even after you start taking your job. So coming to the topic which Sir was talking about, I broadly divide this into two. One, what are the actions which we have taken? And two, what are the actions that has to be taken so that we will achieve the status in sustainability, I would say, the golden status by 2047. So I would like to even intertwine my thoughts of sustainability with what is actually important for you when you step out of this college, right? So I'll start with number one, renewable energy, right? Renewable energy is something which is, we all know, has been on the foray, and there's a lot of investment happening in renewable energy. So any people know about net zero? How many of you know about net zero? Only few. Oh, okay. So the government of India has taken up a target to reduce their absolute emissions. What are the emissions that we produce by 2070 to almost to the zero level, right? So if this is going to be the case, then what are the actions that we have to take so that we are going to reach that? So Mr. Shishir was talking about the global warming. So the last year was the first year where we have crossed 1.5 degrees Celsius almost on a yearly basis. I mean, almost on a monthly basis, right? So that is definitely a kind of warning. So if this continues for a decade, it means that there is a breach of temperature where there is a possibility of irreversibility too. That means that we have a problem of climate risks. Then you will face all the flash floods and so many things that we're talking about. So somewhere or the other, we need to first push the emission down. And that's where we are talking about renewable energy. Renewable energy is expecting to grow very fast. And if you look at from the investment standpoint, we're looking at almost another, I would say about 15 to 20 lakh crores is expected to invest in the next 7 to 8 years, because we are also looking at 500 gigawatts by 2030. That's definitely going to push the entire India towards that. The second aspect which I want to cover on energy efficiency. So energy efficiency is basically how you will, conserve energy, how you'll use energy in a more productive way. So there are a lot of schemes which government has actually talking about. There is a scheme which is there for all the industries to participate. There's a market program which is there. There's a lot of traction which is happening around that. And you must have heard about the energy conservation building board for the buildings. And then you also heard about the standards and labeling. Whenever you talk about, in your home, you could see the air conditioners, you can see those labels, right? So those labeling program is coming out very fast, because that's going to control the energy consumption that you're going to have. Like that, there are many programs which are actually happening. And the third, which I want to talk about, is the waste. So today morning also we spoke about how you will be disposing the waste. Now there is a lot of action which have already been taken by the government, where, I mean, it has been done at the local level as well. So the source segregation is actually being started. Okay. And thereby the wastes are not going to get dumped. As much as possible, it's going to get processed. That's the third area where I clearly see. And the fourth area, definitely we speak about the transportation, the EV. While there is still a discussion that whether EV is good, bad, ugly, but at least I would say the local pollution has been stopped the moment you use EV, right? Yeah, of course, we are going to pollute somewhere, but the local pollution which is there, so that anyways EV is not going to emit any pollution. On the other side, if the grid is going to become green, then obviously the overall emissions from the grid is going to reduce, then also your overall emissions are going to come down, right? So definitely EV is an area, but of course there are certain challenges which I'll highlight about the way forward. And the fourth and the fifth one, the last one which I would like to talk about is the afforestation program, right? So where you could see 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions through an afforestation program is the target that we have by 2030. So there are a lot of initiatives which have been taken up, and in UI, we are also proud to say that we have been into the afforestation program. So we have actually taken up 500 hectares of land in Madhya Pradesh, where we are actually planting a lot of trees. So like that, there are many initiatives which government has actually picked up. These are the 5 top, which I would say to cover the current actions which government has taken. And from the future, I would clearly say the support from the government in terms of policy. So the minimum expectation with whom so the clients that I work with, they look at a policy which is stable during their investment cycle. If you look at any project which is getting implemented, the investment cycle is somewhere between 7 to 8 years. If you have a stable policy during that investment cycle, then the growth is definitely unstoppable. It will definitely unleash a lot of opportunity for us. And the second one, we also spoke about infrastructure development. Definitely, it's going to continue happening, and there is a lot of infrastructure in terms of the roads, and there is a lot of aspiration towards having clean energy, which we spoke about. And there are new technologies that are actually coming up, which is like coal liquefaction that you could have seen in the budget. Coal gasification is another area which is picked up. Compressed biogas is a new area which is picked up. Green hydrogen is, all of you will know, it's pick up. So these are the opportunities for us, for all the young talents to move to those kind of companies, and definitely it's going to have a larger perspective in the future. And the third is actually international cooperation. So the carbon credit scheme which was there, you would not have known about this. The scheme was there in 2005, I would say some 2000 to 2012. And that's again coming up in a different form, where there's going to be a bilateral carbon finance mechanism, or it could be even government to government carbon finance mechanism. They are under anvil right now. And there are some programs that are happening within India as well. That definitely churn a lot of investment for us, and there is a lot of revenue which is being expected. At the international cooperation, if they start getting matured, then there is a lot of technology which will get transferred to India. There is going to be a lot of finance which is going to come. And the last but not the least, I would say every step starts from us. It's important for us to contribute. Even in your home, there are many things that we can do, even small things that you do in your home, that's going to have a profound impact in the overall environment. For example, I'll say we are all going to use air conditioners now. As you said, the February, we are hitting the summers and we are going to use air conditioners. Even if you say that you will retain your air conditioning temperature by say 24, you don't want to go below that, right? And every unit that you save in your home today, and it's going to have an impact of at least 2 to 3 units of electricity which is getting generated. So that is the profound impact that we can see. It's not only with air conditioners, even washing machines, everything that you say, how you will be able to conserve energy, you'll have at least 2 to 3 times profound impact on the overall demand, which India needs to focus on, right? So with that, I would conclude my speech. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and it was a pleasure meeting you all.
Thank you, Mr. Pandian. I believe that you just repeated what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in 2020, and that's called Panchamrit. So you mentioned the 5 elements, and I believe those 5 elements are also driven from that Panchamrit. Now, we are going to listen Mr. Raghu Radha Krishnan. He is a CEO of TMAX Software, and I would request him to talk about digital ecosystem for faster and inclusive growth. Mr. Radha Krishnan.
That's okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, esteemed panelists, and thanks to Dr. Shubha inviting me in this stage to present to all of you about the vision of 2047 and how digital ecosystem is going to play a major role in faster and inclusive growth. Many people are talking about rich and poor divide. There is also another divide called rural and urban divide. So digital ecosystem will bridge the rural and urban divide going forward. By 2047, you will see India completely a digital society, and each and every citizen of India can communicate, do payments across various other friends and other individuals by 2047. That's going to be the vision. And each and every individual citizens will become digitally empowered by 2047. By 2047, what will happen is by India will become $30 trillion economy, and digital ecosystem, inclusive growth will become a major factor for the success of the digital economy, focusing on important critical economic factors. This 30 trillion economy cannot become successful if the critical sectors like health, education, agriculture, then irrigation, these are the critical factors for the success of our growth. And all these four important parameters or sectors will be leveraging the digital technology powered by AI, machine learning, and 6G technology. And by 2047, I'm sure all these technologies will be fully leveraged to our success. So I'm sure you would have seen or you would have experienced many of these digital technologies that has helped in the last 5 to 6 years or even 7 years, which has helped to what we are achieving 4 trillion economy today. And I will also share some of the key things, what has been achieved in the last 10 years and what will be the future leveraging this technology, how this technology is going to provide exponential growth in terms of the futuristic vision of 2047. The key important aspect for a digital technology is the building blocks. That is the digital public infrastructure. What is the digital public infrastructure? Digital public infrastructure is identity, key aspects. Another key aspect is digital infrastructure for payments, digital infrastructure for data, digital infrastructure for health, and Ayushman Bharat. So these are the key important aspects. Government has invested heavily in the last 7 to 8 years. And you have seen the significant and pervasive growth of many of these digital platforms that has taken place. For example, let me talk about the UPI, which is the payment industry. In 2014, we were a cash economy. And in 2016, first it was conceptualized in 2014, UPI. 2016, it was launched. Can you tell me which is the significant aspect happened in 2016? Anyone knows? Which was coincidental to help the digital economy to become pervasive. Can anyone know what was the significant thing happened in November 2016? Demonetization. But this UPI was not planned to think of what's going to happen in 2016. This was planned to make a digital economy. So apart from, to spur the growth of the digital UPI transaction, two other important things have happened, become pervasive. One is UPI was launched. Second, Jio, the telecom industry, has helped leveraging the digital technology to leapfrog from the voice to data. That has helped the digital technology leapfrog. And because of this UPI, the number of transactions, let me share with you the number of transactions that have happened from 2016 to 2021-22. 10 billion transactions per month. More than 1 trillion transactions per year. That is the level of transaction is taking place. Today, anybody and everybody using a digital transaction. And it's supported not only in India, but across outside the world in 7 countries. And you all know who are the countries, including France recently, that has helped to utilize digital payments and digital transaction. The second important aspect, the digital identity, which was started in 2009, that has helped in making the digital transaction very, very sound and popular. That is Aadhaar. Today, if you see, more than 1 billion people in India have got Aadhaar. And if you see, in 2008, less than 20% of India population had bank accounts. And very difficult to get a bank accounts. Today, you have more than 80% of India citizens have bank accounts, which is more than 1 billion. And let me tell you something. Globally, we have around 7 billion, more than 7 billion people. Out of 7 billion people, 4 billion people don't have digital identity. Even today. And more than 2 billion people don't. Us in terms of not only identifying ourselves to be a part of the digital journey, but also bring down the total cost of telecom infrastructure. If you talk of telecom infrastructure in 2016, Jio possibly launched they wanted to have 1 lakh cards in few days or a week or something, which used to take registering registering people. They were able to achieve primarily because of the authentication that you used to get because of Aadhaar, e-Aadhaar, KYC, and e-verification. Otherwise, it used to take few days to achieve one enrollment. So this is a significant achievement that's happening, and this is going to continue over a period of time. And as we continue to grow, there will be new challenges in terms of security. Somebody was asking about what will be the data security in terms of ensuring that data limits to private. For example, I was just having some challenges with respect to LinkedIn, and one of my colleague used to get all the data through LinkedIn through third-party plugins, right? Like Lucia, Signalwire. You use that plugins to use LinkedIn, and you'll get all the data, most of the data of any individual, including telephone number, WhatsApp number, everything. So what happened is whatever the searches and what we do in LinkedIn, Microsoft has ensured there is a security. They have temporarily blocked the account and asked us to delete the entire the plugins that was used to get the data, which is a private to every individual. So not only the business people are taking personal interest in terms of ensuring the privacy are maintained. It's a responsibility of the people, that is society, responsibility of the government, and the responsibility of the business people to ensure that all three come together to protect the data. That's very, very important. So in a nutshell, what I wanted to say is in 2047, India will be the fully digital society, and each and every individual will be digitally literate and digital empowerment, which will help the economy to achieve $30 trillion by 2047. Any questions here?
Thank you, Raghu. And I believe that you have given the fifth W. That's when we are talking about the 4W. Now the digitalization is the fifth W, which is very critical, because when we talk about democracy, demographic dividend, demand, diversified market, and all these will achieve their target only when the digitalization is going to help them. So thank you very much for adding fifth W, fifth D to the overall D. Now let me ask you a very basic question. हम सभी लोग हिंदी में मैं थोड़ी आपसे बात कर लेता हूं. रोटी कपड़ा और मकान हम सभी की जिंदगी की जरूरत है. Am I right or wrong? है ना? अच्छा ये बताइए बाकी की दो जरूरत क्या है? अब हमारी 5 जरूरत हो चुकी है. रोटी कपड़ा मकान, फोर्थ मोबाइल फोन, और 5वीं क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है बताइए? चार्जर. आप सोचो ना, आप just as soon as you see the pillars are coming down, you feel panicked. अरे मेरा बैटरी का चार्ज खत्म हो रहा है. Right? So now our ecosystem has changed from roti kapda or makan to roti kapda, makan, mobile, and the charger. And of course, when we talk about mobile, it also includes network, internet, data, and all those things. Now you will ask that why am I talking about all those things? Why I'm talking about the mobile phone? Why I'm talking about the digital in such details? Because at this moment, we all are talking about the pollution because of this mobile revolution. Am I right, Shitanshu? Since you worked on ESG and you are well aware about that, what kind of problems we are facing. So now I would like to invite Shitanshu Shekhar Srivastav to talk about geopolitical risk to India's growth strategy. Shitanshu, please.
Thank you so much, Sushil sir. Probably when I see the esteemed guests on the panel, I find that I'm the least experienced here amongst all of them, and many people sitting in the audience. So it's really a privilege for me to address this esteemed group of people and the students. When when I joined the ESG, world, it was out of passion. It was not out of any need, any requirement, or any job thing. It was a passion for me. It was a passion, and I really want our young students to really listen to this fact, because climate change is really for real. Climate change is here in front of all of us, right? It is not something which UN has been talking about for long. It is not something which all of us have been hearing, through our elders, or reading on the internet, or reading in the books, or reading in the courses. It is here in front of us. And the way we are, approaching the day is not very far away, when it will be very difficult for all of us to sit in open like this. Right now only, it may be becoming really very unbearable for the people sitting towards my right. But then think about some years down the line. And then we are talking about India's growth journey to 2047. In this heat, can we even assume that the labor who is working during the day would be as productive as he was maybe 10 years back? Or all of us would be more productive working in this heat as we would be when we are sitting in an air-conditioned room? Probably no. We are not kind of trained, we are not groomed like that, right? So the first and foremost important thing for all of us to understand is that the change which the government wants to bring, the change which United Nations wants to bring, cannot be real until and unless all of us make a difference over there. And that difference would come only when we understand where are we going wrong as an individual. Many of us would not probably understand where are we going wrong. Let me give you some statistics. The cooling industry, what we call the refrigerators and the air conditions, they account for 10% of the overall GHG emissions which is happening. 10%. And the way we are going right now, it is going to triple by 2050. So what are we doing here? We are paying a cost of convenience for our future generations. So what is the need? What is the need? I mean, I'm talking about 2050, and here we are talking about India's growth story till 2047. We are very optimistic. We have all the infrastructure, we have all the plans, we have all the strategies. But at the same time, we also have to think that we have to be really very minimalist when it comes to our consumption patterns. Let me give you one example here. 1 kg of a refrigerant, R421A, emits as much greenhouse gas as 2 tons of carbon dioxide, which means running your car for 6 months. This is the kind of impact. And why I'm talking about this is, as per again another study with Argentina, 40% of their global warming in their area is because of air conditioners and refrigerators. I do not know really. I mean, people who are experts, they would know about it better. But what alternative are we bringing? I don't see that we are going to stop usage of air conditioners. We're going to stop usage of refrigerators because we have been groomed to use that. Individually, we may take certain measures in our individual lives. I have done that. I've never bought an air conditioner in my life. I live in Gurgaon. I don't have a refrigerator at my home. I don't have a microwave at my home. But we have learned to live like that. And believe me, if you think that if one person is not using air conditioner, how does it make a difference? It does make a difference. Because the nature responds to you individually. That's my belief, that's my experience, that the nature really responds to each and every individual sitting out here if we think about nature. So that is one part. Secondly, Shreevats sir talked about the geopolitical situations. All of us are aware. Although India is really very well placed when it comes to the geopolitical situation because of our government's initiatives, our foreign policies. However, we see that the disturbances which are happening around the world, whether it is Israel, Hamas, whether it is Ukraine, Russia, or the disturbances which we are seeing in the Red Sea. All of this is increasing the cost of getting to the journey of 2047 developed India, isn't it? Like raw materials which we are importing from Russia, or raw materials we are importing from any other country, China, all those stuff, it is going to be really very costly. And on top of it, the requirements of the reducing the global warming is another thing which is going to become which is going to come as a cost for our industries and our companies. Any of the industry you take, whether it is manufacturing, services, agriculture, we are going to face this brunt. A farmer cannot think of working in this ever increasing heat in the fields. What would happen? Our crops production would certainly go down. If that goes down, and one entire industry would come on its knees. So that is definitely something which needs to be done. We are well placed geopolitically, but all the things which is going around us on which we do not have any control as such needs to be taken care of, and we need to come up with those policies on the ground, and each and every one in this sitting in this campus or around the world has to play their role in case we want to see that developed 2047. How many of us know about, like Gokul sir asked about net zero? On the related lines, I just wanted to ask, and probably we can connect, that how many of us know about Paris Agreement? Anybody knows about Paris Agreement here? No worries. So Paris Agreement of 2015 says that we have to limit the temperature rise well within 2 degrees compared to the pre-industrial era, preferably 1.5 degrees. But would we be able to meet that? Our energy requirement in the coming future is going to increase every year, year on year. So it's very difficult to predict that what would our energy requirement be. And accordingly, the shared socio-economic pathways were developed, which states that if we take the SSP1, we would be growing exponentially, taking care of the environment as well, and our temperature rise would be around 2 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial era. And SSP2 says we would be growing, but at the cost of the environment, and our temperature rise would be close to 3 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial era. And SSP3 says we would be growing at a cost of environment much larger, and temperature rise would be 4.5 degrees Celsius by 2100 compared to previous pre-industrial era. And SSP5 says it's more pessimistic, 5.5 degrees rise in the temperature by 2100. Can we even imagine like 5.5 degrees rise in the temperature and things would remain the same? Things may not remain the same. We will have to really think about it, and the way we are growing, we are moving, we would be somewhere between SSP2 and SSP3. Most likely, if we go very optimistic, it will be SSP2. But there are many studies which says that even if we pick up SSP3, that will be a great thing. So the only urge to this particular group is going back to the roots is really very, very important. Sachit sir was there, and he was talking about Bhagavad Gita. If you go to chapter number 3 and verse number 14, you'll get to know that it talks about the basic about the anna which we consume. How does it grow? We require rain. Without rain, you cannot assume that our farmers will be able to grow their crops in the fields. But how does it happen? For the rain is required, and for the rain, sacrifice is required. Sacrifice doesn't mean that homam in the yagna you do. That is not only the only sacrifice. Sacrifice essentially in our consumption pattern. Sacrifice essentially from our convenience. The cost of convenience which we are paying, we have to come out of it. And the day we start contributing towards that, I think 2047 is very far away. We can become a developed economy by 2030 only. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shatanshu. And of course, you gave a different perspective to overall geopolitical situation and also about the climate change, bringing Bhagavad Gita into that what exactly we mean by the sacrifice. Sacrifice has a different connotation, and we have to think about that. Since we have talked about two P, one is the profit and the second is the planet. Now it's time to talk about people. And to talk about people, we have Dr. Santosh Ji. He's the director of Cure India. And I would request him to talk about people, especially from lower income group. I believe, sir, you are working on that area only. Participation in the overall growth journey. Sir.
Thank you so much, moderator and friends, faculty. I interacted with some of the students when I came here. I felt so encouraged. The few students I met, you all are really brilliant. I could see that you have great future. I was amazed the kind of knowledge you have. So I find it really truly privileged to be here. And I'm sure the students are good, means the faculty is good. Dr. Ray is sitting on the sun. I can't see you, but amazing. What a great experience. 15th August 2022, we were all sitting in our office thinking what we are going to do. And we thought, let's do a countdown. We all are gearing up, looking at 2047. And we thought, okay, we discovered 9,131 days before we celebrate 100 years of Indian independence. From that day onwards, we started countdown. So every day, it's a ritual in the morning. I have my colleague also here who will religiously come and write in on the whiteboard. Okay, today we have these many days. So today it is 8,580 days to go. So we do this because we know that we have some limited time. And as the moderator said, we work with the people. But we are also aware, and I want to share this with all the students. Don't think that there is something extraordinary that is waiting for you in 2047. We are already experiencing extraordinary India today. When I just got into this institution, this is equally much better, extraordinary like any other institute. So you all are lucky. So in 2024, you are studying in some of the best institutions in India. So be proud of it. But we are definitely looking forward to a much better situation. So what we did, I'm only going to talk about what we have been doing. In 2008, in a very casual conversation, somebody said there is something called clubfoot. I heard for the first time, it's a birth defect. For every 800 live birth, one child is born with this defect. And I've been working in this field, social worker, especially in the area of health. So we said, okay, if there are 40, 50,000 children born with the clubfoot in India, what's the solution? We discovered, we found there is something, a non-surgical method that is available. We believe in our system. We know that health is a constitutional right and the public system should provide. We are not activists. We became partners with government. They are lucky. We approached the Delhi government, then the Honorable Chief Minister, Sheila Dikshit Madam. For some reason, the file started moving very fast. Lightning. I was also surprised because there is no money involved in it. I didn't meet the key people, but the file started moving. Luck or favor, universal power. We later came to know that Sheila Dikshit Madam was born with a clubfoot. So the moment she came to know that it is a clubfoot program, she said, by all means, she told the then health minister, Professor Kiran Walia, do it. No child should suffer. Even today, I have leg pain. No one should suffer. So we were lucky. We signed agreement with the Delhi government. Fast forward by 2016, we signed agreement with all the states. So today, you go to any medical college, government medical college, there is a Cure India program, any government medical college. We have trained more than 8,800 doctors in this non-surgical method that we said. India is actually ready to take anything. And I'm telling you, this program has now become the world's largest program for when it comes to clubfoot. Not only that, when we organized the first global clubfoot conference in Delhi, in Vigyan Bhavan, in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, somebody came to know that we are organizing, and he came all the way from New York. I'm using his name with his permission. His name is Rahul. Business. One statement he said he's so unlucky that he was born and brought up in New York. Because you don't believe, for clubfoot, we have treated 103,000 children with no surgery. This poor, my friend, underwent 20 surgeries in New York. Anything good happen after that? He's not even able to walk now. So India is changing. So don't copy the other country. If you are doing that, we have to become something like the other country by 2047. You are wrong. Create something new for others to copy. Now, today, we are organizing again on the 3rd March, the 4th conference. People are coming from different countries to see what is happening here. We created 10 different programs. I talked about one. The second, since we are talking too much and the heat is very high, let me talk about the second program. So 10 program all starts with V. So we call it V10. So V10, Transform India 2047. If you Google also, you'll find that. Okay, V10. So we cure India. We care is the Children India program for disability. Be plant, and let me talk about Be Plant. If I'm taking more time, you have to just alert me. Good audience, so I really love talking. They all are with me. They all are looking at me. I'm so happy. Students are so smart. They're smiling. Oh my God. They're so beautiful. Be Plant. See, if you look at Cure India program, the problem is clubfoot. We created a program. Today, we have come to a level that any child born with a clubfoot anywhere in India will be given non-surgical method free of cost. Simple, full stop. That's India. It's not happening anywhere else. So now there are more problems. Malnutrition is a problem. So the solution is in every village. There are 660,000 villages. Nutrition is in the village, but it's in the soil, not in the stomach of children. So how do we bring that nutrition from soil to stomach? We experimented something. It's an innovation. We started planting nutritious fruit trees in villages, in public places, with the participation of people. We did it in large number. We said no one should call anyone thief. Amla, Anar, Amrud, Am, whatever it may be, it should be available for everybody. It worked. We involved the Panditjis, we involved the Imams. We inaugurated them in the religious places. People started respecting, and it's working well. By 2016, we were planting sapling, baby tree, sapling. But we realized that saplings don't live more than 15, 20 years. Because sapling and the polybag and the nursery culture is only 30-year-old. Before that, what we were doing, if you want a tree to come, we take the seed, put it in Mother Earth, and then we never touch. It is their right to live and grow and live forever. So we started practicing that. Now tamarind that we are planting in large number, when I say large number, it's always millions. We don't do 1 or 2. Tamarind lives 500 years if you put a seed and don't touch that. So 2018, we launched a program called to Save a Million Mango Seed in Delhi. We work only with the government. So we've approached the director of education. We said, no, a million mango seed. We did million mango because of rhyming. So it is definitely possible. We did it. We did more than 1 million. And this year, government gave permission for all the schools. So we have a set up seed bank in 5,000 schools in Delhi. You go to all the government schools, MCD schools, aided, unaided, seed bank is there. What are they doing? They have taught the children to save the seed. We use the word save. Why? Seeds have life and children understand things very well. And the teachers have put some mark and you just see the magic. When there is a mark, you think the children are collecting the seed. You know who is collecting the seed when there is mark? Parents. So 50 lakh, 5 million children, larger than New Zealand's population, is saving seeds now. And now there is a problem. If they collect 100 seeds per student, we'll get 50 crore. If they collect 300 crore, 300 seats, we will get 150 crore, which is more than the population of India. So what we did, we approached the Air Force and we requested them, we have some bombs. Can you drop it? It's my friend. So he was, talk serious. I said, I'm serious. Hamare paas hai bomb, but it is oxygen bomb. Don't put it in neighborhood, put it in our own country. Kahan? I said, start with Aravalli Hills. Delhi to Udaipur, 465 kilometers. So if everything goes well, 50 lakh children are going to save the seed, and we are going to drop from Delhi to Udaipur to bring back Aravalli. People say that there used to be forest. We said, next 20 years, there will be a forest. Why 2047? Before that. And it's going to work. I can keep on talking. There are 10 programs. I talked only about 2. So, but I will not take much time. Then there is a program that we started for health ashram. We call it the V Fitness. Because as we grow, we want to make sure that, as Mr. Jain said, we should be happy, healthy, not carrying unhealthy weight, and get all the lifestyle diseases. So we teach children how not to get sick. So we tell them, if you are sick, you go to hospital. If you don't want to get sick, you come to health ashram. So amazing experience. So I don't know. I don't want to stop talking, but I know moderator will really stop me. So thank you so much. I always carry some fruits or something. So I suddenly remembered I have amla. So this is the season for amla. So eat, live healthy, happy. You have extraordinary future. India is growing. Be proud of Indian. And if you are inspired, join the transformation movement. Okay, V10, Transform India 2047. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Santosh sir, and really wanted to hear more and more. But now it's time to take questions from the students. So anyone who is interested in posing a question, please come forward. The microphone will be for you, and you can ask your question to any of the panelists. Anyone? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sir, as we are talking about development of India, and Raghu sir said that agriculture is a crucial sector for the development of economy. But sir, contribution of our agriculture sector in GDP is declining. What are your views on
Contribution of
agriculture sector in GDP is declining?
Oh, okay. So that's going to be significantly improved with the adoption of digital technology, because that's why digital literacy, digital empowerment is very, very important. And IT is going to play a very important role to improvement. You will see a lot of entrepreneurs, the IT companies have become an advisor, and they become there is a group which provides the agri-technology. They provide technology, how to leverage the technology to make India a powerful nation in terms of producing good agriculture products. That is happening, and you will see the next 5 years, 10 years, most of the educated people who leverages technologies will enable those agriculturist farmers to leverage the technology, including IoT devices, to make sure that they are so successful. At the same time, a lot of things you talked about leveraging technologies with you can see agriculture will help in terms of ensuring the sustainability happens over a period of time. And the digital technology will help agriculture to improve the, not only in India to grow better, but more in terms of exporting as well.
And if I just add few lines to Raghu, what you have said, when we talk about agriculture, we need to keep in mind that 86% farmers are the small and the marginal farmers. They have less than 2 hectares of land. And 60% of our population, 65% of our population and 50% of labor force are dependent on agriculture. So there is a better opportunity for the use of digital mechanism to have the higher productivity. Because when we talk about GVA, that's a gross value added, agriculture has just 15 to 16%. And it is considered to be a labor intensive, but the contribution in the GVA is very less. So there we need to think about how to synergize the digital as well as the human to make better use of resources whatsoever available for us. So thank you very much. So anyone else, please come forward.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My question to Gokul, sir. You talked about sustainability. So is it a fad or it will stay till 2047?
Sorry, is it a?
Is it a fad or it will stay till 2047?
Yeah, that's a good question. So sustainability is actually perpetual. So it's not going to be fact till 2047, it's going to be 2060. We have been, if you look at even the past as well, so we were always conservative. That's the reason we are actually moving forward. The moment you look at the growth of our country, so just 6 to 7%, where other countries are like, we'll be reeling behind. So we are very conservative, and the sustainability is perpetual because we have seen, sorry, we have seen this transformation is going to happen. And then that's the reason we have also taken up a target of net zero by 2070, which eventually means that we would like to completely get off from the GH emissions, right? And the moment you move out, then we all expect that, every aspect that we're going to have an improvement in terms of, health, in terms of safety, in terms of the growth, economic prosperity, everything is, on the verge of growing up. So if you, I mean, to answer the straight away question, it's a perpetual thing. So we will continue doing it.
Just to add, 30 seconds more there. When was India not sustainable? Our entire culture has been based on sustainability. Since ages, we are sustainable. We were a country who have been worshipping our mountains, our trees, our rivers. We have been taking care of them, through all these religious means or the social, and cultural means. So we had always been sustainable. It's just about looking inward rather than looking outward. I always say that ESG came into being only in 2004, 2005, the term, but India had always been ESG compliant. ESG just a term by the investors for the investors, but sustainability is there in our bloods. We just need to see that and look inward in order to, achieve that.
Anyone else? Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, respected sir. So my question is to Shitanshu, sir, right? Sir, I really like the idea, like which you have mentioned, you don't have refrigerator at your home, you don't use ACs. So up to some extent, I can imagine a life without AC. But how you are able to manage something, there are perishable items at our home. So how you are able to, sustain and survive that thing?
Good question. When it comes to consumption, I can very proudly say that 85% of what we consume at home, like food, doesn't come from the market. It comes directly from the farmers. And when you buy directly from the farmers, those items have a very long shelf life rather than buying it from the market. And secondly, we are using many traditional ways which our grandfathers and previous to that they used to do. So let me give you one example. The atta or the wheat flour which you use in the house, you buy from the market, any big brand you name it, Ashirvad or whatever, Pillsbury, whatever. When they are making that, they're grinding that wheat in the machines, the RPM is more than 2,400, 2,500, 4,000 RPM. What it is doing, it is killing every nutrient in that wheat. You're not getting anything. You're getting only the carbohydrate. Apart from that, you're not getting anything. But when you see the previous methods, which our ancestors used to do, that was hand-driven atta chakki, And right now, through the use of technology, machines, we are getting the same RPM what a hand can do. A hand can give you RPM of not more than 60, 70, maybe 100 if somebody is very strong. The same thing can be achieved by machines, and there are so many in the market. That atta would have a shelf life of only 7 days, while the atta you buy from the market has a shelf life of more than 3 months. So what you are consuming, you can very well understand. And how we manage, we have adopted the age-old methods. We do Agnihotram every morning with sunrise and every sunset. That regulates the temperature in our house. We don't have any, as I said, fridge and all or AC and all. So it regulates the temperature in my house. We have a lot of trees and plants in the backyard and the front, and it's all full ventilated. My children have never experienced a refrigerator. My younger one has never seen a refrigerator, in fact, at home. My daughter had seen because we kicked it out in 2017 when we started learning more about it. So there are many sustainable ways of living. You have to just come out of your, comfort zone, take some cut down or your convenience to some extent, and you would be able to do that very easily.
So that's a great answer. Like, as you have mentioned, I just forget what I was going to ask. Just a second.
It happens. Don't worry.
You were saying something.
In the meantime, can I invite someone else so that you can just think about your question again? Yeah. Anyone else, please? No one interested?
Just to add what Shitanshu said in terms of the climate change, etc., how digital technology is helping to improve the climate change. Just this FASTag and GST implementation, that has helped to save in a particular year 350 million liters of gas, 350 million liters of gas using FASTag and GST, right? The second one is 9.8 million tons of CO2 emission was saved. So digital technology is going to help not only in a particular area sector, across all the sectors, and leveraging that digital technology is going to be the future. That's why, we are able to sustain in the last 6-7 years in the specific area on payments or identity, etc. And also the future is going to be bright by 2047.
So,
did you manage to get the question now?
Yeah,
please.
I remember. So, sir, as you have mentioned that when we get the products directly from the farmers, it is more, have more shelf life. So I stay in Delhi. So like in a metropolitan city, is it feasible to have such products in massly available? Because
Yes, it is available. It's just about, getting to the right, place. There are many farmers around Delhi region, 100, 200 kilometers radius. And I'm associated with more than 1,000 farmers across the length and breadth of the country. And I know, like, if I have to take rice, I have to get it from Chhattisgarh. If I have to take, wheat, I have to get it from, somewhere else. So it's about, and there are many farmers around the Delhi area, Narnaul, Rewari, Sonipat, even in Gurgaon, some portions, who are completely doing natural farming. And when it is natural, then only you will get that taste, then only you get that nutrition and the shelf life. If it is again with the same DAP, urea, and all those stuff, you're not going to get that shelf life. Even if you buy directly from the farmer, because that has pesticides on it, that has insecticides on it, it will perish very easily. You may have, many of you, like, people who are living in their homes, you would have experience. You buy vegetables from the market, you keep it in the refrigerator, you'll find fungus on that in a few days. The vegetables I buy never get fungus, even keeping, outside. They may get dried, but they would never, have fungus in 1 or 2 days. So it is very much possible. You will have to be just associated with those groups, those people, and there are many of such people around us, which we do not know.
Thank you, sir.
Just to add, e-commerce is helping all these small farmers. For example, I'm sitting in Bangalore. I'm able to order Kinor apples. What they say is from farm directly to the buyer. That's the way that digitalization is taking shape to ensure even what you're looking at, you'll get it easy.
Okay.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And since there is no other question, so just a final round of questions from my side. I will start with Shitanshu and also with Gokul. Today, we are talking about carbon border adjustment mechanism, and that is going to hurt developing nation like India in a bigger way. What is your take on that, and how to face this kind of challenge? Because when we talk about the $7 trillion, $5 trillion, this is one area where we have to think about what could be the solution. So solution from both of you.
Sure. Thanks for that question. Actually, as our chief guest was also talking about, we being a developing economy and this, entire force of sustainability, ESG, climate, change, all of this has come now, past few years, and developing economies have to take that brunt as well. So what the West has done at the cost of the environment, we are asked to achieve, or we have to achieve the same thing without harming the environment. So there's definitely a challenge. However, this challenge can definitely be adapted to and mitigated as well. So morning only when I and Gokul sir were coming in the cab, he was talking about, since his entire experience into energy, so much of going on, whether it is, investment in the renewable energy sources, hydrogen, or, wind power or solar power, this has to increase. Without this, it is very difficult to, do away with fossil fuels. 80% of our electricity generation in India as of now, close to 80% is coal-based, right? If that is the case, then there is a huge transition risk we have. When you talk about climate risk, we talk generally about two types of risks. One is physical risk and then transition risk. Physical risk is for real, like when sea level rise happens, extreme temperatures, drought, floods, all of these are physical risks. Transition risk, when we have to transition from one source of energy to another source of energy, it has got a huge risk. In order to mitigate this, we have to have a seamless inflow of the energy. Without that, it is not possible. And I think the scientists across the world, the environmentalists, they are working towards identifying ways and means to, replace coal or fossil fuels as early as possible. But again, largely we're very, very dependent on that. And I don't see that happening anytime very soon. But yes, we are on the right track to, mitigate those transition risks.
Okay. Gokul, your take?
Yeah, you are right, Shishiji. This is going to have a severe impact on the economy. So we are expecting almost $3 to $4 billion. Currently, they're targeting about 5 products.
Yeah.
And out of that, 4 is getting exported from India, which is steel, cement, fertilizer,
and
aluminum as well. So it's certainly going to have an impact on us. If you clearly, I think some of them, Shitanshu has already highlighted it. Number one, we need to look at renewable energy. Renewable energy, primarily I'm talking about from the electrification of renewable energy. That's most important for us. The second, the reason why I'm talking about renewable energy, if you go sector by sector, I don't want to take too much of time, but I know a lot of people are sitting in sun. Aluminum is completely electricity intensive. You're talking about electricity intensive, we can take a huge step of completely electrifying it through renewables. It's quite possible. And if you look at steel, steel is both electricity and energy, which is a fossil fuel currently. And we can go, definitely there's a high option for green hydrogen. So green hydrogen is going to play a major role. Compressed biogas is going to play a major role in these 2 segments. And there is a high chance that we will be able to produce green steel. And if you look at fertilizer, and there is a lot of, you would have heard about nano urea. Now there is a nano DAP, there's a push from the government. And what is, there is another one which IFCO is actually, coming out with the product which is called Sagarika. I think, you would have seen the market. So these are the ones which are actually renewable based. Sagarika is one product where I have seen is coming from the seaweed. So what are these products going to do? It's going to straight away cut off natural gas from our import. Okay. And if you cut off natural gas, then you're going to have a lot of gas which is going to go out, is going to come down. So the moment these internal levers getting into scale, there's a high probability that will actually insulate us from the carbon border adjustment mechanism.
Okay, since we are running out of time, just 1 minute to Raghu and 1 minute to Dr. Santosh. Raghu, just one issue is about the digital security. We all are talking about digitalization, but major fear among the people is the security, whether this is safe or not. What is the solution to remove this fear?
The government is, whether it's a payments or whether it's other areas of intrusions, there is a, there is no one common solution. every time we keep evolving and there will be a new threat coming in. So we also keep evolving, there will be a threat. So like payments, you have from single, there was no authentication, then there was a single authentication, there was a multi-level authentication. They keep on improving our security as well. So going forward, every change that is going to happen and there will be a security threat, there will be a new change will happen. So there is no one common method. We need to keep on evolving with the newer technology as and when the threats arises.
Okay.
That's the way.
Dr. Santosh, final question to you. Since we all are talking about the demographic dividend, we are also talking about demographic disaster, because the kind of opportunities which youths should get, they are not getting. So that is the fear. How to remove that fear?
There's a fear, that's real. It's true. But I mean, as social workers, that's what we are trying. We are trying to remove those hurdles that actually stop people to achieve their best ability possible. So whether it is the disability program that we are involved or the environment program that I talked. So we are actually removing those kind of hurdles and inviting people to take advantage of this opportunity. So, but long way to go. We just, I talked about the planting of trees that we are doing. 15 billion trees are cut in the world every year. So, and in the last 100 years, 50% of the trees are cut. That's why you are facing all this kind of, environmental disaster. Recently, I was attending a meeting and we used to hear people telling global warming and somebody started telling it is global boiling. So, but we are not afraid. We are still optimistic. So we are creating, actually, when I talk to the students, I tell our target is 3,000 crore trees every year, and it is possible. It is possible. So we don't worry about the number of trees cut. Look at how many trees we can plant. That's why we are going in, 150 crore seeds we are targeting from Delhi. And I'm talking only about 5,000 schools in Delhi. Gujarat, 75,000 schools. Imagine 75,000 schools when they participate in the seed bank and every student participating. So very, very optimistic.
Okay.
So that is keeping us going. And I think we will win.
On that positive note, now I'm going to close this session since we are running out of time. So thank you, Raghu. Thank you, Gokul sir, Shitanshu, and Dr. Santoshi. A big round of applause to you people also. So thank you very much. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, everyone. Following the conclusion of this discussion, it's time to express our gratitude to those who have made this session truly remarkable. I request our Dean Academics, Dr. Tarun Dhingra, to kindly step forward and facilitate our esteemed panelists. So, Mr. Shishir Sinha. Dr. Santosh George. Mr. Shitanshu Srivastav. Mr. Gokul Pandian. Mr. Raghu Radhakrishnan. Thank you so much. Yes.
Please come forward.
Thank you. Before we draw the curtains on this enlightening gathering, let us extend our thanks to those who have played pivotal roles. I now invite Dr. Arpan Anand to offer the vote of thanks. So.
Thank you so much. And I know you have been waiting for lunch, and I'll not take too much. So it's truly an honor to stand before you today and extend my sincere gratitude on behalf of Jaipuria Institute of Management, Noida, as the chair of 11th edition of Jaipuria Annual Management Conference 2024. So this grand event has been a culmination of dedication, hard work, and meticulous planning. I express my heartfelt thanks to all the invited dignitaries, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, media personalities, faculty, staff, and students for gracing us with your presence. Your participation has added immense value to this occasion. A leader is someone who creates an event. Team members essentially brings life to it. Behind the scenes of an extraordinary team work tirelessly to bring this conference to life. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the team members, including Professor Santosh Sood, co-chair of the conference, Dr. Atul Shiva, the convener of the conference, Professor Varda Sardana, convener of the conference, for their dedication and their enthusiasms. So we had numerous meetings and two froze of the ideas and deliberations. So a big thanks to everyone. A pessimist complains about the wind, an optimist tries to change it, but a leader adjusts the sails. The sails for this particular notion were adjusted by a person who is not only a great motivation for all of us, but a visionary, a person who gave us the belief to bring together the event of this magnitude. He's none other than our director, Dr. Subhajyoti Ray. I wish to express my sincere gratitude for the presence, our Vice Chairman, Mr. Shreevats Jaipuria, and our distinguished speakers. Their profound insights and expertise have undeniably enriched our understanding of the topic. A big thank you to every one of you for taking out time from your busy schedules and showering us with the pearls of wisdom with us. It was truly our pleasure to hear you, the panel discussion. It was wonderfully moderated by Mr. Sinha and the insight shared by Mr. Shitanshu, Mr. Gokul, and we have Mr. Santosh with us. We truly enjoyed it. And a special help was taken from our team, which was a big kudos to our IT team, our admin team, who throughout helped us organizing this event. A big mention to the student team who are working tirelessly for this event, including it was led by Vedant Mohindru, Ujjwal, Rachit, Anupam, Anubhav, Tushar, Himanshi, Manish, Srishti, Tanya, Radhika, Disha, Kushal, and Akash. MRC team who make you look good involves Mayank, Mrityunjay, Arun, Anjali, and Purvi. So if I've mentioned, I forgot to mention any name, just give me an apology for that. A special recognition to the audience, whom we have made sure to actually sit here and listen to us. A big round of applause for everyone, to all of you as well. So hope to see you next year with a grander, bigger JAMC edition 12 2025. So now you can enjoy, click pictures, you can come together and we'll ask our MRC team to click a group picture with all of you, and then you can enjoy your lunch and signing off, Dr. Thank you so much, everyone. Ask our guests and faculty members to come in for a picture.
So I request all the guest members and faculty members to please come here for the group photographs. And all the interested students as well as the student coordinators can join us.